Howdy everyone, my name is Jay, and in this video we're going to look at for loops in Java, what they're used for, how we can mess with them to do what we want, and just how they work. I hope you find this video to be informative, and here we go. Okay, and welcome back. Here we are. So like the intro said, today we're going to, or I guess for now, we're going to look at a for loop. So what a for loop is, it's a loop, which in programming means something that goes through things multiple times. And a for loop is a loop that iterates through something for a certain amount of iterations, and that's why it's called a for loop. So this may be kind of hard to grasp. I know for me it was hard to understand, but let's program one out and then we can look at different pieces and see why it's called that. So already in the setup here, we just have a public class matching the file name, as well as a main already set up, as well as a PowerShell running, so that way we can kind of see what we're doing as we do it. So let's start. The syntax for loop, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to type for. We're then going to insert some parentheses, and then we're going to insert some curly brackets. And I'm going to go ahead and hit enter here, so that way it's kind of clear where our body is, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a comment at the end saying end for loop. Okay, now like I said, the for loop runs for a certain amount of iterations, and how we control that is going to be basically what we type into these parentheses here. There's going to be lots of different ways that you can change these, and we'll look at that in a second. But for now, let's say we want to do a simple for loop where it just counts to 10. Let's just say for some reason, for whatever reason, you forget how to count to 10. Well, let's make the computer do that for us. No one wants to count to 10 nowadays. Let's just have the computer do it. So our first argument in the for loop is we're going to initialize what's called our iterator. And our iterator is basically a variable that's going to be, iterated through by the for loop that we can change its value each time the loop completes. So let's start. So let's say int I is equal to 0. So this is initialize a variable that's an integer I with the value of 0. And this is going to be pertinent to just this loop. The scope of this variable stays within this for loop. Also, the reason I used I is because I is commonly used as the first iterator in loops. In most programming, you'll have more than one loops, and it's important to make sure you kind of keep your iterator straight, so that way you know what variable goes to what portion of the code, if that makes sense. All right, and we're going to end that with a semicolon, and our next thing is we're going to basically ask for how long do we want to iterate this loop through. Well, if we want to count to 10, how we do that, we need to make sure that I is less than or equal to 10. So we'll have all the values that are less than or equal to 10. So I is less than or equal to 10. And there we go. Now to count to 10, we don't want to count by twos or anything. Let's just count for ones right now. So we're going to go I plus plus. So what that statement does is basically saying every time we iterate through this loop, we're going to increase the value of I by 1. We're going to add 1 to the value of I, which is what the I plus plus does, if you're not familiar with that. All right, so now let's iterate through the loop body. And let's say, let's tell the user what this is doing. So we're going to do a system.out.println, and we're going to say, let's say this is how you count to 10. All right. Oops, I did not mean to use a colon. That should be a semicolon. And now let's do system.out.println. And we're going to do I. We're going to print out the iterator through each loop. So this loop is just going to repeat over and over until this condition is met, and then the loop will stop. All right, so this looks good. Let's go ahead and run it. We're going to come over to the PowerShell. We're going to compile YouTube 4.java, enter, and then Java YouTube 4. Oh, that is not how you type YouTube. My apologies. Java YouTube 4. Okay. Now that's not what we wanted. So let's go back at our code and look and see what we did. Well, each time we have it counting to 10, but it also prints this message every time. And I kind of did this on purpose just to illustrate. So everything in this body is going to execute every time the loop is iterated through. So we only want this to happen twice. So what we're going to do is we're just going to control X, and we're going to come up here, tab in, and control C. Oops, control V rather. And I messed that up. So we're just going to retype it. System.out, print line, this is how you count to 10. Okay, so that should be better. Semicolon, let's save that. Recompile. And run it again. All right, there we go. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this is a little odd. When we count to 10, we don't start at 0, we start at 1. But computers, however, they start at 0. So let's say if we were doing this in terms of human language, we want to start at 1. So we can change in a for loop. Instead of initializing at 0, we can initialize this at 1. And that way it'll start at 1, and we should count to 10 like a human. So we'll save, recompile, and run the for loop. This is how you count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. I hope this video gave you a little bit of clarity into how a for loop works and what some different features of it are and how we can edit it. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.